So there's been a lot of pandemonium in the United States recently. I mean, when isn't there, right? We're always freaking out over something that we shouldn't be freaking out over. At this point, it's part of the American culture to just be afraid over nothing, over literally any unproven headline that you can see. And one of the more recent ones that has started to circulate online and become a big issue for some people is this whole zombie deer disease. This whole, oh my god, the deers are turning into zombies. It's gonna come to humans and we're all gonna fucking die. We're turning into the Walking Dead as we speak. And no, folks. No, we're not. So if it's not Momo that's freaking everybody out, it's zombie deer. So, I've read a bunch of headlines and articles on this whole thing. Most people just read headlines, which that's how this whole thing kind of spread in the first place, without reading any articles, and I'm here to tell you that there is nothing for you to be worrying about when it comes to these zombie deer. At least not for now. So, if you're living in a country that's semi-normal and not worrying about deers turning into zombies, you might not know about this, which means that you do not know that there is an outbreak of chronic wasting disease in deer in the United States. I'm pretty sure it's actually taking place in other countries such as South Korea and Norway as well. Never mind, actually, it's an issue in 24 United States provinces, as a lot of people would call them from other places. We call them states here. 2 provinces in Canada, reindeer and moose in Norway and Finland, and a small number of imported cases reported in South Korea. Now, basically what chronic wasting disease does is once it infects a host, it basically rots the creature that it inhabits. They suffer from symptoms like weight loss, stumbling, drooling, lack of coordination, listlessness, excessive thirst, urination, drooping ears, and a lack of fear of people, aka sometimes they even turn a tad bit aggressive. Now I'm gonna show some pictures. I'm just gonna warn you now, they're pretty disgusting. This is what these zombie deers look like, okay? And this is what's freaking people out because yes, it's pretty creepy. Looking at these things, they look disgusting, they look creepy, they look like they belong in a scary movie. I understand, people, but there's nothing to worry about because it's not going to infect humans. At least there has been, out of all the studies and out of all the research that they've done, there has been 0 reported cases of this whole disease ever even transferring to humans, let alone making people look like this, because a disease can actually go into a person and then not actually affect them. It can just kind of stay there and remain dormant, but no, there's been 0 cases of this in humans. And now pictures and videos of these deer are going completely viral and people are freaking out, oh my god, they're zombies. They're not zombies. These creatures are still alive. These deer and reindeer and these moose are still alive. They're just rotting away. That's basically all it really is, and there's some symptoms that come along with it. But a lot of these headlines and these articles have been going around, and let's be honest, like I said, people don't read the articles, especially in situations like this. They see a picture of zombie deer in a headline and they're like, oh boy. Oh, it's happening. Well, nothing's really happening besides this outbreak. It's not really dangerous to humans, because actually, researchers say, according to the New York Post, that even eating meat from these zombie deer appear to be perfectly safe. This is citing a 6-year study by the Oneida County Health Department and experts at the State University of New York and Binghamton? God, people in New York need to learn how to make shit pronounceable. But anyway, they examined about 80 people over 6 years. They had them eat this contaminated meat from chronic wasting disease-ridden deer and things that had been killed, venison basically. And then for 6 years afterwards, they followed all of the side effects, all of the health deterioration, basically any changes or abnormalities in their health for literally 6 years. And of course, 80 people, that is a pretty small sample size. Usually the bigger you can get, the more likely that your results are to be realistic, but 80 people still isn't just one person or a clickbaity headline, and it was done by credible people. It was done by a university and a health department. And in these 6 years, right, of this whole study, not a single person ever was contaminated, ever got this disease, and had no significant changes in health conditions that was attributed to the disease. Health conditions like vision loss, heart disease, type 2 diabetes, weight changes, and high blood pressure, plus arthritis were all attributed to older age. So there's been a lot of fear, since obviously humans eat deer. People go hunt and then they eat deer, because that's what people do. There's been a lot of fear that the moment a human eats one of these contaminated deer, that it's just going to be the end of humanity. We're going to be living in The Walking Dead tomorrow. No need for Days Gone to release on PlayStation 4, folks. You're going to be playing it, right? Well, no. because, like we just said, this study just kind of proved that not to be true. And this is just in a study. Imagine how many people, especially in 24 states, many of which are states where people actually hunt a lot. Imagine how many people have accidentally eaten contaminated meat in the last God knows how many years, and how none of them have ever gotten this disease. How no human has ever contracted CWD, as they call it. Now, of course, there's always the possibility that it transfers over to humans, and then next thing you know, people are rotting away in the streets. But as of right now, it's never happened before, and they currently believe that there is no risk to humans. Most scientists currently believe there's a strong species barrier, which means that it's unlikely the disease will ever jump into a new species. And I've linked a ton of reading resources for you down below. But see, I'm gonna draw a little bit of a comparison here, because it seems like this happens like every year. Does anyone else remember when they started finding all these brain-eating amoeba and stuff in warm water, and it would go into people's ear and it would like directly go into their brain and basically would just fuck them up? Like they would go into a coma and things like that, right? And everyone thought that it was gonna mutate and it was gonna start turning people into zombies, right? And then of course, there is the zombie fungi or whatever in South America that's made headlines over the last decade or so that everyone's afraid of. Oh my god, the fungi is gonna infect humans and it's gonna make spores in humans and we're all gonna become zombies. People need to realize that this is something that mostly is used by all these news stations and stuff as just clickbaits. Like, there's no threat. See, what they do is they see this chronic waste disease, or, you know, the CWD, okay? And they realize that there's like 2 or 3 viral posts of these disgusting looking deer that are rotting away in a field that are just standing there, and then when they walk, they've got, you know, they're walking in repeated patterns and they're falling over and just, you know, dying, basically. And they say, oh, that looks like a zombie. So what they do then is they take a couple screenshots and then they post, oh my god, zombie deer virus is on the rise in 24 US states. And then people are like, oh shit, a zombie virus is around again? It's only been the 19th one since 2012, and magically none of them have ever infected humans. There's never been any human who's turned into a zombie except for that guy in Florida who ate the other dude's face off bath salts. But I mean, that's all it is. It's an easy headline, it's easy clicks and easy revenue for all of these different news sources, and people just eat this shit up because Americans, let's be honest, we're no longer reading articles. 95% of people, well, of course, it's just an exaggerated statistic, hopefully, but I wouldn't be surprised if it was actually spot on. But 95% of people will say, just simply don't read articles, okay? Most people are not interested in sitting down for 7 minutes and reading an article and seeing all these different sources that give them all this different information and seeing if a news story is actually real or fake. That era of American is just over. We're not reading news stories anymore. What we do is we see the thumbnail and we see the headline. And then whatever that says, that's what we go with. There's no fact checking, there's no sources being read or cited, and then people wonder why we have this big misinformation issue going on here in the country. Oh my god, everyone's being misinformed. There's a bunch of, you know, Russian bots on the internet who are making up all these articles. Like, 80% of this issue would be completely fine if you fucking would just use Google. If you would just literally fact check what you read. This whole zombie deer thing literally would not exist, and it would not be such a craze in the US if people would just research a little bit. And I'm not trying to preach at people, I swear. But at the end of the day, like, you wonder why people keep getting misled like this, and all this false information keeps spreading, to the point that the Center of Disease Control here in the United States has to make a public issue out of it. It's because you won't read, you know? Why don't you just, it takes literally 30 seconds. Maybe up to 5 minutes if you're really into the whole subject, to just fact check something, folks. To just look something up. I mean, we literally live in an era of humanity where literally all the information you ever need to know is right at your fingertips, and all you have to do is make a Google search and use a little bit of your context clues, which you should have learned in elementary school, and you can learn literally anything that you want to. I know I'm saying literally a lot, but it's the truth, you know? And then we don't. we're the dumbest people have ever been, it seems. And we're the most misled and ignorant people have been, especially with the amount of information that was actually available. I mean, back in 1500, when people thought that the only thing in the universe was Earth and the sun, and you know, only 8 people in the world had one book, and it was the same book, and it was handwritten by some dude from 9,000 years ago, that's totally different. But now we literally live in an era of infinite knowledge. We live in the information age, yet people do not actually look for information. People do not seek information out. And the next thing you know, the whole country is in a craze because, oh my god, zombie deer. Meanwhile, there's 5 people in some staff room of some website just laughing their ass off because they just made $30,000 off of this one single fucking piece of misinformation that they wrote. I know I just went on a complete tangent there, but I mean, come on, people. The whole idea behind a zombie deer in the first place is completely just, I don't even understand why people would think that's something, because to qualify as a zombie in reality, you have to like die and then rise from the dead. And I mean, none of that's ever happened. None of these deer have ever died and then stood back up. Next thing you know, they're biting people, you know? That just, personally, I don't understand it. I don't get how people believe some of this shit. Especially when this whole quote-unquote zombie thing happens on a yearly basis. Every year they find some new fungus out in the jungle, or they find some goddamn animal that's rotting away. And next thing you know, all of social media is just littered with, oh, there's the new zombie bunnies. It's like a self-fulfilling cycle. They just make up some bullshit, people eat it up, they share it all over the place, the revenue comes in, rinse and repeat, but they just gotta find the new animal. It's ridiculous. Do not be scared of zombie deer. There is no such thing as zombie deer. You have nothing to worry about with this disease as of yet. There is plenty of reading material for you down below. Literally just spend 20 minutes. Educate yourself a little bit. Stop believing everything that you see online, folks. Please, for the love of God. Thank you for watching this video. If you did enjoy, as always, make sure to leave a like and subscribe if you're brand new around here. Follow me over on Twitter. I post memes, thoughts, and updates. Most of the time, it's not about zombie deer. Nothing to worry about. Also, it's a great way to get notifications of my newest content. Join the Discord down below, lots of great things going on there. Also a great way to get notifications of my content. Thank you to my channel members for your $5 a month. Your support helps my channel tremendously. If you would like to help support my content, you can do so by hitting the join button down below for $5 a month. You'll get access to a lot of perks, badges, and more. And I'm actually going to be reworking some of this stuff here in the coming days, so obviously keep out for that. And until my next video, guys, this is Optimus, infected by the zombie deer disease. I'm on a tangent here, folks. I'm running through the streets, biting people. Prepare for the Walking Dead. And signing out.